to get into a lot of things today. So I always ask, so you do poetry, and you also do art, you do painting. So I want to get into all that stuff today. So for those who are just joining us, welcome, welcome. So with the first question at hand, I'm gonna talk about the poetry first, and it'll lead into the painting. So how did poetry come to your life?
I think it all started in high school because I was studying Romanian literature and language. So I was really fond of poetry, since I know myself. But now, when I started to paint, I was looking for inspiration, and for some reason, or maybe like it was like, of course, I would turn to poetry. So what happened is I would like look for poems online, and then I wanted to show this in my art. And by doing this, like I ended up on IG and starting collaborate with poets, which is really fun. And I ended up with two books. One was with Donna McCabe, and the other one was with four poets here with Susanna, Mehran, Michaela, and Donna. Because, like, even today, I talked to Susanna. It was I read all her poems about childhood trauma, but I ended up with my own painting. So today I asked her, do you want to write something on this? Because it's kind of a mix of all your poems, but it's not one in particular. So she's going to write something on this. So it ended up being on two ways, the process. Like I read a poem and paint on a poem, and then I would paint something, but which is a really close subject to the poet, and then they will write something. So this is how I ended up with this book, and probably
Mm.
I'll have one because the process still continuing. So you know, I'll
So
just
what?
yeah.
Yeah. No, so as far as the painting, walk me through the painting. Like, how does that? So you read a poem and then you start painting the picture. But what goes through your mind when you're doing the painting? You're reading the poem and then something just appears at you, and then you start painting that. Like, walk me through that. Like, how does that really look like for you?
I mean the process itself, like how I come to this.
Overall.
Like I read a poem, and let's say it was about a lonely child. Okay, so then I picture this lonely child, and I will start looking for pictures on the internet that I can use as a reference. Like I would go through so many pictures of a child that's crying or is alone and things like this. And then I will start to add these images with other elements, like if I want like a darkness, or like if I want butterflies, I would just add butterflies in there and stuff like this. So until I'm ready, like, okay, I like how it looks, then I start to draw this, and only this after it's a painting. So it's actually a long process. This is the longest is really the idea and transform it into art than the process of painting itself. I mean, if you know what I mean, like just thinking of how could I possibly show this. Uh, it takes like, I think the most difficult for me was the one I did for Zana, the one with the bear bulb. I don't know if you read that one. Like this one.
Okay.
It's the subject that when she was a child, and she would look for the bear bulb on the window in the building. So she would wonder who lives there. Is their family? Is their child? Maybe this child is happy because she was not happy. So I went through so many ideas with the bulb, and then the child inside the bulb and outside the bulb, and like I did so many, and then I ended up with painting just the bulb.
Hmm. but I love the symbolism behind that. Wait, can I see that picture one more time? Just show it so the audience can see it. See, but I love that, right? Because just that itself could speak so many volumes, right? Because you see, like, I love how you have the boat, but then the way the light embraces. So it's like the way that speaks to me. It's like, yeah, like no matter how dark your surrounding is, there's always light. It just
The light
it's all about
looking
how much we see the light, and how do we how do we take that light and embrace it so we can make the room more brighter than what the surrounding is. I think that made sense, right? What I said.
like in the poem, she talks about the misery she was living in, like dirty sheets and stuff like this, like dirty windows. Everything's dirty. So I don't know if you can see in the painting, but everything around is actually a very dark green. Like
Mm,
maybe it appears black, but it's actually a lot of layers of very dark green. So for me, this color was the color of misery. You know, it's like kind of mold and stuff, like dirt and like I don't know, like something disgusting, like a disgusting color.
yeah.
So all this disgusting color, and then this is the light, like this is where you're drawn to this light. So that's why I ended up with just the bulb. But like I said, it's been maybe like 3 weeks that I was going through ideas, and until I find my colors and what I want to show. And it goes like this with all the paintings that I painted. So um, yeah, so that's my process, like my main process. There are exceptions, but this is the main process. Like
Okay.
I read it over and over until I technically know it by heart, the
Mm.
poem.
And then so as far as like the actual painting itself, like once you find the colors, right? Like because I know nothing about painting, so this is why I ask. Because I know there's different styles of painting. Can you walk me through that a little bit as far as like the
So
styles and all that?
I started to paint in 2018, and I explored so many styles. And even then, I used to collaborate with Donna McCabe on. So she has poems with me matching like a completely different style. But now, still, like 2021, 22, I do mostly watercolor, and I like this kind of mm, like splashes and like abstract style mixed with um, realistic elements or even surrealistic elements. Like, I don't know if you remember that painting that I did with many eyes on the face. So
Okay.
this is surrealism, like something that doesn't exist for real. So the eye I painted looks real, but the face has 5 eyes. So this is called surrealism. So this is stuff that
Okay.
I like. Or like I did this one, like the child that faces the wall. It's again about child abuse. But what I wanted to do, like flowers, to me, like the child is when it's born, it's so pure and it's so colorful. But then because it was mistreated, her flowers start to become black. So that was the idea behind. Like
Mm.
like every painting, I want you to look at it and reflect, like, and maybe you don't notice this, and that's okay, or maybe you notice something completely different, which is okay too. This is art, like poetry. You have the right to interpret it how you want, right?
So no, I love that you said that because it's true. Like when you because of they say that expression a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Mm.
And again, that's a great example of that. You did mention surrealism as well. So for those who don't know, I know a little bit about it. So I don't. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's
Example of surrealism again, like the kaleidoscope of chaos is the poem. So she was explaining like the way she feels like in a different person thing, like kaleidoscope of thing. But I painted like a face that is looks like kaleidoscope. So this
Mm,
again, this is surrealism. It's something that doesn't exist for real.
okay. So like that, like those particular paintings compared to like the other one you just showed with the flowers and this one,
Mhm.
um, how long, like is the, I know you're talking about the process, but as far as the timing, like how long it takes to paint that, does it depend on how much you're putting onto the painting, like, and then how much in-depth detail you're putting onto the painting? Like how does that, like, what is that
You
like
mean
for you?
like painting process itself?
Just overall, like just overall, like let's say, like how long did that
So
one
like
take in the
I always
second one you showed me?
okay, so I have a sketch. So starting from there, it's not that long. I can finish it in one day. So
Okay.
I'll just paint and then it has to dry and then I'll do another layer and then another layer and then I'll go for details and boom. So it's really the process of creating that it takes more time and this is actually the whole value of my art is the idea behind this painting, you know, like it's not the um let's say not like the well maybe the technique of this too, but the way I see it is really the idea behind each painting. And I don't repeat them. Like if I did this, there is no other painting that shows something like this.
Mm, okay. Okay.
So
Wow. So that's it. It's like one of its kind, pretty much, you're saying.
I'm not repeating myself. There are artists that do, let's say, birds. So they just do birds. Okay, so
Right,
they
right.
just change the color of the bird or the species of the bird or flowers. As I do roses, tomorrow I do peonies, and then I do sunflower and so on. But you don't have to think about really like it's a sunflower, right? But the way the what I do is it really has to incorporate some behind idea, you know? That's my art. That's what I do.
So I wanted to ask you, when it comes to the painting, right? Have you ever had a moment, like, have you ever had anything that was challenging for you, whether it's painting something or just coming up with anything to match what it is that you're trying to portray on that canvas? Like, have you ever had any challenges? If so, how did that look like for you as far as the challenges? How long, what, just all that? Like, how did that look like for you?
Mm, I mean, there are always challenges. There are always something that you have to improve and stuff. But honestly, I love painting faces, but I hate painting or drawing ears. So I really try to avoid that. Like if there is something with ears, I would cover it with hair. So boom. I know it's it's a bad idea.
No, but hey, but every art is different, you know. I mean, I'm curious to know, like what is it about the ears? I know this is probably silly, but again, I like to dissect whatever like stuff you're saying. I always feed off whatever the answers are. But what is it about the ears? Because I'm curious. Because no, yeah. So what is it about the ears? Is it just the structure of it, or
You you have to show the depth here and then here, and you really have to know how to do the layers of this. And oh, oh. I'm still working on ears, but why do people have ears? This is so frustrating.
yeah. Oh man. No, that's that's funny though. But yeah, no, I get that. Like there's the depth of it and there's the whole yeah, I get that. I get that. Oh Lord.
Oh, like
So
now looking at you, I just remembered I tried to paint a man with a beard and I hated too. So beard and ears, no. This is like too much stuff. Like
yeah, too many hair. I should do clean face then, right?
like like if I paint you, please shade before that.
Oh man. So yeah. So I
So
want
I see you interview poets. So this is the first time that you ask about art stuff, right?
yeah, so for the most part, I mean, it started off as poetry, but I've met other poets who do like crochet. I met poets who like they do they do other stuff as well, and I've interviewed them about that as well. So my main thing for this platform is I'm trying to expand as much as possible. eventually I would like to interview tattoo artists as well. So, a little bit at a time. So you'll be like the first person that I've interviewed that's an actual like poet and a painter. So that's why I wanted to have you on and brought in the audience, stuff like that. I've had musicians on here too. So, like I had a little bit of everybody here. And I had to give everybody an opportunity to like, speak their life, speak their art and stuff like that. And speaking of the book and the pictures and stuff like that. So how did the book that so if you want to show the book one more time for those who are watching, whether you're watching the
Like
replay or you're
that
watching the live,
about
welcome.
poetry, I don't really write. Well, I like this, but I feel like I ended up doing poetry just because I read so much. Like I read
Right,
so many
right.
poets that it comes naturally, kind of. I don't know. Um, but yes, I'm mostly in poetry community. I'm more than art community. Yeah, because
Okay.
it's
And it's still art, right? It's still it's a type of art, and I love the fact that you were able to take your painting because earlier you were talking about poetry, how you read a poem and then you paint this on the canvas. But look at the advantage that you gain out of that, right? Because you figured, oh, there's a poetry community here, so how can I connect with that audience so I could put their thing onto this canvas? And it's because of that connection you made, you were able to create the book with other poets as well that you were able to adapt the painting. So either way, it's still poetic if you ask me.
yeah,
And I wanted
yeah.
to ask you, how did that book come about? Like, when did you decide, what, I want to do this project? I want to talk, because I know this is a collaboration project, right?
Yes, well, I started to paint a lot on the subject of suffering and healing. So this is what's about. My set is better than yours. So that's why I thought I'll probably group this together and do a book about this only. And um, because I have other collaborations, but they don't fit into the subject. So that's why if I do another book, we'll probably have to do like again some subject because you don't just random put them into a book. Like a book has to um, like to have a structure, let's say, like to
Right,
have a
right.
object and like the same style and stuff like this. So, and especially I did one before, and then I did two for children. I wrote poems and one story for children. Um, and then, so like publishing another book was kind of like of course, like natural. I don't know.
Okay. And um, so when the book was published, right, and everything was put together, you published it and stuff like that. Like, how did you feel once to see everything put all together? You got the physical book. How did it feel to have that accomplishment, to have done that, especially with this book in particular? Because it was not just poetry; there's also painting and stuff like that as well. Like, how did that make you feel? Like, how accomplished did it feel?
For me, it was the process of not only painting, but really as an author, like putting everything together. Especially, I tried to kind of do like a design thing, like to incorporate some images with the poetry and stuff like this. So um, I was very excited. Like here, I used a few lines from poems. You don't have that. I don't think you have that in the Kindle version, or maybe I don't
No,
know.
I have the digital version, but I'm having a problem logging in to my tablet. So this is I'm having an issue here right now, so I can't even look at the book at the moment. Like, 'cause I have a new tablet, and I was trying to do everything. It's giving me problems.
Okay.
The Amazon
Because
thing.
like when you open, you see a line from the poem and the image, so it has a different feeling than Kindle. You don't experience the same thing with the Kindle because there you have just pages, one,
Right,
or
right.
sometimes leave a blank page because I wanted to, and in Kindle you don't have blank pages, so you really don't have the same like feeling. What I was excited about was to publish Michaela and Susanna because I did a book with Donna and Mehran Hashemi. He has his own book, but for Susanna and Michaela, this was a big deal because they've never been published before. So I think I was more excited for them to get, this exposure because I think they really deserve this. They have really fantastic poems. Like Susanna, most of her poems are about child abuse, and Michaela writes about suffering.
Okay.
So, and they both, like all the poets, I guess, go through different stuff and don't really feel comfortable talking or showing what they write about because it's very personal. So,
Right.
so getting them out there, like really pushing them, like, yes, you're gonna be in the book. Like, yes, I want to publish this. Yes, I want to show this because I think it's worth it, and I actually think it's fantastic what you wrote. So I was kind of more excited for them, than for me just putting together the book.
Right. Right. And but it's like back to you were saying as well, like the fact that you felt that their words and their story matters, and the fact that again, like it was exciting for them because they got their words out there. But I like to think it was also good, exciting for you too, because you got to collaborate with these people to do that,
Yes.
and the fact that you were able to put words into canvas, and that's a very hard part. Like, I was able to log in on the computer, so I'm gonna use the computer instead.
Okay.
See, like I like this one.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about this, like, because this it's so symbolic. Can you talk to me about this picture right here?
Uh, the image itself it shows exhaustion, and the black circle is like you're trapped in a circle of this routine life, and you just can't get out of this. It's like you just have to wake up at 7 and like send your kids to school and then go to your job, and then you have to do grocery and you do this and you do that, and it's never ending, and
Yeah,
it's never ending. On top of this, we all have issues like people dealing with depression, with anxiety, with you name it. I mean, everybody deals with something, right? And
yeah.
this exhaustion, like she's like, I can't deal with this anymore. So she's like bent like this, and the the black circle that she's trapped. So that was my idea. Mm.
No, I love that. So I love this because that's true. Like the whatever that circle represents is like the exhaustion of having to get up in the morning, or
Like
just to get up and get out of bed every day, and to just like, all right, here's another day, right? Because like say, I might wake up energized, but then once I get through the day, it's like, okay, I felt peace sleeping, but then I have to wake up knowing that, oh, damn, okay, I have this situation that's still lingering.
ending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I have this one situation lingering on me. It's like, oh, damn, I still have to deal with this. But just that alone, or let's say if you're struggling with depression or you're struggling with anger or something like that, that itself is so exhausting as well
Yeah,
because it's
just
like.
yeah. Like if I get anxiety, I'm exhausted just from having the anxiety. I feel like I can't do anything else. It's just draining my energy just having this pressure on my chest and can't breathe, So really getting through the day, actually do stuff, it's like too much. Sometimes it's
Right,
just
right,
like I can't do this anymore. And the circle itself is like really like a trap, but it's in a circle. It's
right.
oh, I think you can compare this to a hamster in a circle, like running and
Yeah, yeah. Or even like a hamster wheel,
yeah,
for example, right? Like
yeah,
that's the wheel where the
yeah,
hamster is trying to like
yeah.
run.
Run, and you can't arrive anywhere. Actually, you're just running like until your
Yeah,
life ends, which is sad.
yeah. You know what sucks too? Because like if we don't have the proper things or the proper people in our circle, I feel like that circle becomes more and more, because the heavier the circle, the more unbearable it becomes. And the more unbearable it becomes, the more exhausted you are. Because I'm trying my best to make everything positive, but it's so hard when you're surrounded by things that's keeping that circle heavy, keeping that circle so dark that any light, I'm like, okay, I'm happy I got a little light, but like I want more of it instead of less of it. And it's interesting. I love the symbolicness behind that because it's true. This is how life is at times. And it's hard. That struggle is so real, and yeah, yeah. So I love that. I
Yeah, that's
definitely love
exactly what
that.
the symbolic meaning, like the hidden meaning. That's what my art is about. To have this meaning, like you really you look at the image, but you have to like think about what does it mean? Like why is it black? Why is it round? Why is this? And is I especially like different poses that you don't really see the face, so anyone can relate, you know?
Exactly, because anybody could be the person inside.
Exactly. Like I like a lot do from behind or like something like hair or like this child facing the wall and stuff like this. So you don't really see the face. So really anyone can relate.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know it's true, like it's interesting because even in a situation like that, it's so easy to put on the mask, right? I think about like a mask. It's so easy to put on this mask that people don't know that internally this is what we go through. This is how life feels like for us. But on the outside, we feel like, hey, how's it going? Act everything's all good. But inside, our soul, inside our life, it's hard sometimes. And when you're surrounded by things in life that does not allow you to express those things, it's like we have to kind of put on this mask to make something look like, oh yeah, I got it all together, but realistically inside it's not,
That's
and
a lot in poetry actually about the putting on a mask. Like the think of like at this one, like I cry.
okay.
Everything colorful around me, but I cry.
Yeah,
So
I love
again,
that.
like again, like a no face, actual face, but
Right,
just
right.
emotion. Mm. So that
No, that's
I
powerful.
do
That's
that,
definitely.
and like you'll see my new painting that I finished finally today, and hopefully I can. Or like this one, the child that is crying. Why did you abandon me?
Mm,
Mm.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. So
No, no, that's yeah. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm just trying to listen to what you're saying. Yeah, no, I'm
it's
just trying
okay.
to
We're just or like this one is also surrealism, like
okay,
two-face, like about a two-faced person.
okay,
The poem was about two-faced, like you show one side but hide the other, say one thing but mean another, things like this.
right.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you about this one as well. Like, I love this one.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that one was inspired by Michaela's poem, like dripping this darkness from the eyes, from the lips, from my heart, from everywhere. So I just really wanted to show the dripping of this darkness from everywhere. But I didn't want to make it scary, kind of,
Right.
because darkness, it could be horror, like horror image.
Right.
Um, but I wanted to make it like okay to look at. So yeah, I ended
Right.
up. mm, This was totally Mikhail's poem. Like I wouldn't paint that if I didn't read her poem. Like
Right.
I didn't have this image myself, like dripping darkness from everywhere. It was really.
Yeah, no, that makes sense what you're saying. And so just overall of that, right? From the time you started painting to where you're at today, um, I guess my question is like, what advice can you give someone that's just starting? Because I think there's this misconception they think you just put stuff on a canvas and then that's it, and people don't really understand the meaning behind, like when they draw something, like what is like talk to me about the emotion behind the painting. Like let's say if you're painting something, like talk to me about the emotion behind that in your eyes. Like how does it look like in your eyes?
Mm, you mean like someone that would want to do the same thing as I do?
Yeah. However, yeah, however that looks like for you, whether it's you or whether it's another, like what? All right, I'm sorry. Let's do one thing at a time because I feel like I'm asking too many questions in one sentence.
Personal interpretation is I don't know how I would tell someone to do the same thing as I do. Like you can practice portraits, you just practice portraits. You can practice painting watercolor peonies. So you just do this every day, and you'll get better at painting peonies. But what I do is, I don't know. It's you. This is the creativity thing,
Right. Right.
like I get the idea, so I'm doing this. And even, by the way, this painting with the exhaustion, I was like, oh my God, why did I paint this? I don't think somebody will, like anyone would like this. It looks so weird. And I was hesitating to even post it. And you see, like, you get this. So, like, I sometimes I have such a crazy ideas, and I would paint like, and then I'm like, oh, who's gonna like this? Who's gonna wanna watch this, or who's gonna wanna buy this? Because I have them for sale. I was like, who? And then they sell, and then people like them because those who get the idea, I mean, they stick to it, and usually it's because we relate to the image, you know.
No, right, right. No, and I get, like I said, yeah, that all makes sense. So I wanted to ask you, 'cause I always ask everybody this question, so I always ask this to everyone. So when people see your painting, they see your art, they see what you do creatively. Like when people hear you, they say your name, whatever. Like when we're not here anymore, what would you like someone to remember you by? Like if they say your name, what would you want someone to think about, or what would you want someone to remember you by, as far as anything, whether it's your painting, your poetry, or just everything that you do all together? What would that look like for you?
I had someone tell me lately, one of my fan of my art said that your art touches heart of people's heart. So I think this is the best compliment I got, and I think this is the actually like the the thing I want people to think about. Like, you mean like associate my name with this? Like, I touch people's heart. So when you see this little girl and like, why did you abandon me? And you relate to this. So yeah, like she shows my feelings. She can actually show in a image what I deeply feel. So I think that's my thing. Like I
No,
would
that makes
paint just flower, like I said. I love flowers. I love painting flowers and birds, but I wouldn't paint just the flower. It's like so boring for me, like just this, you know?
no, right,
Because there is
right. No, yeah. No, and that makes sense, right? Because it's like you're showing people through your art that, hey, I do understand. And yeah, I could express that I understand in words, but if I could express my understanding and my sympathy and my empathy for you on a canvas, it speaks more volumes because when they say that saying that, picture's worth a thousand words, it really is that, because there are things that you just can't put into words. And I feel like with what you do, you demonstrate that. Because yeah, we can say it, but you show it. And when you show it, it speaks a bigger volume than you could ever imagine. Because yeah, I could paint, like you said, a picture of a sunflower, but okay, but it's what you do with that sunflower, right? Okay, so so once I have the sunflower, okay, I could put so many other elements into the sunflower, let's say, for example, but how you interpret that, how you showcase that, it can speak in so many ways. That let's say I look at one picture and it'll say, oh well, this spoke to me one way, but then somebody else could look at that same exact picture and it speaks to them differently. But it all boils to one thing, the expression of it, right? And I think that's a good way to bring conversation into a table. And then it becomes this very deep meaning that, oh snap, at the end of the day, it's like there's this thing that somebody told me, like let's say you and I could experience the same situation, the same event, but we understand it differently.
yes,
But we were
all art.
still able to bring a conversation together to talk about that and the expression behind all that. So I think that's powerful, though. to be honest.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed doing poetry prompts lately because one of my painting and I will get like 30 poems, 30 different interpretations of exactly the same image, which
Right.
is impressive. Like you said, that's exactly what you said. Like everyone sees it differently.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you do the prompts. Those prompts are because I'm not really a fan of prompt, but like but there are some prompts that I like, and I like what you do because you'll have a painting. Okay, how does it speak to you? And I've seen it on your page. You'll have all these comments, and I'm like, wow. But when you read through all that, even that, it's art in itself because now you're giving the you're giving words to a picture, but you're also giving picture some words. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if that made sense, but it's
Yeah,
so good. And like we said before, it all brought people together and it created this dynamic.
yeah,
And even that's poetic and even that's artistic as well, you know?
like to do it's like an exercise, for your creativity, I think. Because what happens is that after I read the poems, there are poems or images from some of the poems that don't fit my painting, but would inspire me to create something else later.
Yes.
It already
Mm.
happened,
Yeah.
like a poem of Lara thing, and then I painted this later, different way because her image of the woman and the ocean, I thought it was so cool. Then I just painted later.
Yeah. See, but not, but for you, it's also a win-win situation too, because even with all these pieces that people write to you, you can take, let's see, like you said, let's say, okay, I don't think this one fits here, but now you have something else that you could create a picture out of. So in a way, it's like you're never bored. Like you're always
Yes,
active, you're always
that's
creating, you know?
fun for poets as well because when they get to see the image and read other poems, they go, "Oh, you see like pain in that face," and I thought she was just like tired or whatever. Like I
Mm.
was, but people see so many different expressions and emotions in it. So it's kind of fun. Like I see it as a really like as an exercise for your creativity. So if you
Amen.
get a chance, it's like if you would listen to a song and then try to write something like really like music, not lyrics, like music and write something. So it's just helps you develop your creativity from different uh, stimulus, like from different,
Right, right. No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So Ala, thank you so much because we're all towards the end. Thank you so much for doing this interview and breaking painting and how everything works, you know, all this art. Thank you for just breaking all that stuff down. Because there was even stuff that I never really understood until like you kind of broke things down. So thank you for that. Before we go, do you have anything you want to plug? Any last words, any thoughts that you want to like share or anything like that?
oh, well, I don't know. Thanks for having me and finally chance finally to schedule this somehow,
Yeah.
uh, which was fun. Well, we just talk about something we both liked, right? So, of course, it just gives like positive energy, like recharging.
Mm.
Because like I said, we're just so caught in this routine stuff that when we get a chance to like speak about art poetry or do art poetry, this is like, oh. Yeah. So do you write poems yourself?
Yeah,
Like
I do. Yeah, I write poetry. Yeah, I've been writing since junior high school, and I still write till this very day. I had a feature actually not that last Thursday I had a feature in PA. It was my first time actually going in front of an audience and reading, you know, in front of an actual audience at Barnes and Nobles, and I had a great time. I felt like that broke something inside of me to get out of my comfort zone, kind of thing.
okay.
Like the turtle's breaking out of his shell, and now he's embracing what his surrounding is. So I think in that same way, yeah, I feel like it felt like it definitely gave me a sense of inspiration that I've never gotten before, you know? So
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm. Yeah, that's good. Well, any kind of exposure, it's still
Yeah.
good for you because it helps, like it's like kind of pushing you to go forward. I
Yes.
mean, just like everybody else, I'm having like about 2 weeks now or 3 weeks, like a blockage. Like, I just can't do anything. I read poems, it doesn't help. I just
Mm.
look for all the images and stuff. Like I know usually can, oh, I want to do this. I want to use this color. I can start just from the color, like I so want this purple somewhere that I can start from this purple and go somewhere. And then nothing helps. So I guess everybody goes through this because that's why I'm excited that finally, yesterday I finished a watercolor. Finally, like after 3 weeks of blockage.
Wow.
So I guess everybody goes through this, but when it happens, it's kind of scary. You go
Hmm?
like, oh my God, this is the end of me. Like I'm not gonna ever create anything. It's kind of
Oh.
scary.
Yeah, no, it is, and I'll say this, yeah, because before last week, I didn't really write for a couple of months. I was going through some stuff
Oh,
at work, but I didn't write for a while. I was like, oh God, and it's not one of those things like, oh my God, I just couldn't write anything. And then once this weekend came, like pretty much this past week that came, it was kind of like, oh snap, I got inspired again, and like I stood over at a friend's house and I just wrote something on the fly. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like it just came out of nowhere after I already did my feature. And then I went to an event that same weekend and then I got more inspired and I started writing again. But I haven't written like that in so long that's like, oh my goodness, like, okay. And maybe that's what it is. Sometimes we just need that push. And it's hard because writer's block or even just having any kind
yeah.
of blockage, it's real.
Fuck, yeah. I guess everybody goes through this, like musicians or
Yeah.
filmmakers, like whoever. But when it happens, this is so exciting, and this is what gives you this push of energy, like going, like getting out from this dark circle, like you really like, yeah, I'm free, I can
Yes.
do stuff.
Yes. I've
Yeah,
embraced it. Yes. Let it
yeah, like
out.
I'm not talking and doing just stuff at home and kids and job and like you have to do this and that and like you really talk about beautiful stuff and it's kind of recharging.
Yeah, absolutely. And beauty comes in different shapes and forms too. So it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes, even in the darkness, even brokenness can be very beautiful. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And even believe it or not, I really feel like even when we have the blockage, I think sometimes that is our best moments because then it helps you reflect a little bit, and then somewhere along the way you gain a new inspiration again. Like I really believe that sometimes works like it to our favor as well. We don't
I
know at the
hope you're
moment, but
right
when we look
because
back,
I
it's
thought
like,
I'm dead.
yeah,
I hope you're right because I feel like I'm dead creatively, like, oh, I can't take this, I have to do something.
yeah.
So I hope you're right because so like since I already started, hopefully I just go back to it
There you go. See, don't worry,
because
you got
I deal with
this.
depression, I deal with anxiety, and this helps me a lot. This is like for me, this is like my therapy. Like being by myself, and just doing stuff. It's this is my therapy. I guess everybody has its own therapy, like music and
Yeah.
art, poetry, whatever it is.
No, absolutely. So Alex, I know you have to, cause I know you got some stuff to take care of now,
Yeah,
and I don't want to keep you too
like
long, but thank you
my
so much.
mother,
Yeah.
mother kids, and the circle, the circle is calling me back.
Yeah. Okay,
I
come
just came
on.
out of the circle and I have to go back.
Yeah. So thank you
I
so
think
much. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for this interview. I definitely feel like I learned a lot today about that. I don't know, like I don't know how to draw anything like that, but I've been wondering how to get into that kind of stuff. So who knows? Maybe 2 years from now, I might be painting, and you and I might be painting something together. Who knows, right?
Maybe. At least when you'll see my next painting, you will probably reflect this and think like, what did she want to show this? Why is this like this? Why is this weird like this? You know,
Yeah. So
it's gonna
thank
help
you.
you
Yeah.
reflect. Okay, thanks for having me. Have a good
Yes. Thank you
night.
so much. Talk to you soon.